Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. You may remember my friend Narcatron here. That comes to us from the Bot Wars game from Trader's Galaxy, from the land down under. Just had to throw that in there. Had a lot of fun painting this guy, had a lot of fun building his friends, and had a bunch of fun building even more of these models from the Bot Wars game, and then having my phone or the OneDrive or somewhere in between swallow all the files up into the ether and let them dissipate amongst the clouds, never to be seen again. That was not cool. I'm not happy about that. But nevertheless, I am going to soldier on, and I want to show you guys some of the cool models that I had a chance to build here. Now, one of the first things you'll notice is how bright and colorful they are, and I really, really like the colored resins that Trader's Galaxy was using with these figures. It's just fun to work with, and I did check with them and found out that all of the factions are in fact color coded. So if you're going to take the lazy way out and not bother painting anything, you don't have to worry about it. Everything's going to match up. Now, obviously, this is just a smorgasbord Skittles rainbow of flavors here of various factions. So take that for what you will. But obviously, if you pick up some of the starter sets, you're going to get everybody matching in that regard. And speaking of starter sets, I couldn't even help myself and already put in an order for a second edition starter because I had so much fun building these guys. It's just, to me, something that I personally haven't seen enough of on the tabletop. And I gotta say, the models themselves are quite crisp. You'll see a little bit of flash here and there, and that's more just my eye didn't catch it. Now that I'm seeing it on camera there, like on the arm, you can see there's a little bit right there. But honestly, very minimal cleanup was necessary, so that's a big plus. And I guess if you just want to get these guys out of the box and onto the table, that's definitely a nice touch. I was a little worried, admittedly, about my friend here. This is, I want to say his name, Heatsink. There's two versions of him, I think, in two different starter sets, I should say. I don't know if there's two versions of him specifically, but you can see here he's in the Valiant colors, which are the good guys, naturally. I don't know, these rocket launchers remind me of like, was it the Warhammer? The old Macross Destroid, the Spartan? Is that the one I'm thinking of? It was one that had the two cannons arms. Just the single cannon. I'm rambling about other things. Okay, anyway. Cool little model, though. And they're not actually very little. That's a 50mm base he's on. They're not massively gigantic, but, you know, if you're going to eschew scale in a way, I think you can probably get away with using these things. Like, here's a little epic-sized tank. If you wanted to have real big, stompy robot battles, definitely a way to go forward. I think 15mm might be a better touch. I know that's not actually the scale they're in, but nevertheless. Speaking of another good guy we have here, I want to say this guy's name was Speed Racer. Not two separate words, but one word. And unfortunately, his little fin on his head did come cracked out of the bag, but that's okay. That wasn't a big deal. Once we get some paint on him, I don't think it'll be an issue. I figure he's supposed to be like a bumblebee type guy. And what was really fun was trying to figure out the names of everybody. I didn't have the cards or anything handy, but thankfully Trader's Galaxy was really cool about supplying me with set information. So kudos to them. And absolutely, if you guys want, check out that link to them down below. I also want to say he probably shouldn't be on a 50. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember which size is which. I'll have to look at some of the cards I actually already have, like for Narcatron and his buddies. That is one thing I've always liked about, you know, like Malifaux and stuff, especially with the 3rd edition. It is 3rd, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, I'm rambling again to myself. They have the little base sizes labeled on the cards, so that's a nice touch. What else do we got here? We've got the blues. Let's get into a nice bright color. How about some oranges? So this is one of the Trashers, and you can see here, very junky looking, but also very melee focused, which is probably a faction I would be interested in if I wasn't as interested in some of the other newer stuff coming out. Well, we've got like the Beast Lords, which are, you know, like the Dinobot style ones, and then we've got the full-on Red Army, I don't know if they're called that, but a very Soviet bloc inspired set of military hardware strapped on giant dinosaurs. That's a new faction that's actually coming out really soon after this video is going up. So, like I said, take a look at the website. And that's not the only new faction. There's like a flaming fire one that had some interesting units coming as well. Not this guy, though. This guy's actually one of the deceivers, one of the bad guys. Believe it or not. I don't remember his name. You can tell he's a bad guy because he gets a big old rocket strapped to his back there. It's a very chivalrous-looking face. To be honest, I thought he was one of the good guys at first. Now, one of my personal favorites I got a hold of, this guy belongs to the Overlord faction, which are a bunch of giant kaiju-like monsters. You can see he's got the smashed car there on his base. Not sure if that's an American or Australian car. It looks like a police cruiser. You can see the lights there on top of it. This is Hammerhead. And one of the nice things about these figures is they have a very kaiju-esque look to them. I didn't do the best job gluing his head on. My apologies. And I think of any of the factions, and there's quite a few at this point in the game, and there's even more coming, which is always cool to see. I think these guys are probably going to be the easiest to make that transition from one game to the next. I mean, I'll be honest, I was curious enough to give the game a better, proper look-see after getting these guys, but, you know, that's why I ordered a starter set. At the very least, you know, it's something new and fresh and different for me to paint, but, you know, I think with the design of these guys, outside of the car, underneath his foot, and I mean, I guess if you are a really excellent hobbyist, which I'm not, but I can pretend I am it sometimes, you could probably cut that off and then just have it be a piece of rubble, but rather than an actual base to put him on, and a model that might look more familiar to everybody out there, just to give you a good size indicator of what to expect with these figures. So they're not massively big. I mean, they got a good size and weight and heft to them. I mean, they fill out a 50mm base quite nicely. But, you know, I think with games like a lot of the modern sci-fi skirmish small-scale stuff, you know, miniature agnostic style, you could definitely get a lot of use out of these guys. And especially these. I mean, he'd be perfect in just some kind of Xenos warband running around with Chaos guys and stuff. But if you're like me and you enjoy games where basically anything goes in terms of figures and models, that's probably not the best base for you, my friend. I was going to say, well, why not? We'll have you here anyway. If you want to have them hanging out with a really interesting company outside of the base sizes, they're not going to look too out of place. And I mean, you know, Saiton would probably be bashing heads with something like that as it is. So, interesting models in that regard. One last one. This guy here, even though he's out of focus, probably is not one that everybody's going to actually be familiar with. This is Red Warp, but this was not a version of him that even I was familiar with. Got a hold of a lucky limited edition one. He's not even available on the website, so kind of a cool model to see. He did have a flight stand, actually, but the contact point for the stand and his foot here, excuse the blue tack, was a little small. I'm either going to drill it out or just put a bit of tactical debris to have him posing on, and I do like that pose. All the bad guys tend to have these nice spindly, pointy antennae. And I gotta say, that's one of the nice things, is despite some of the thinness of the parts, like these wings, for example, I was quite worried, and I always am when it comes to parts like this, but I mean, honestly, everything went together really easy. Most of these figures, the only things that really needed gluing were the heads and the hands, and in this guy's case, the wings. But everything else, nice, simple, straightforward. And that's always nice to have. And like I said, since everything's going to be molded in the proper colors, you know, a couple drops of the super glue, and you are good to go. So, considering I am now trying to salvage this video and hopefully get this posted, like I said, this will not be the last we have seen of Bot Wars models. And if you guys enjoy the aesthetic, if you enjoy something different, Trader's Galaxy has quite an interesting catalog of stuff. Some of the things you might see are absolute homages to some things from our childhoods, if you are of the right age. And if you're like me and you're looking for a good excuses to paint and put those on the table, I think you'll be quite happy. So, like I said, check out that link below and hopefully have fun with it like I will. With that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye!